York County is so much more than just a stop for gas on I-80. 17 County is filled with unique individuals with unique stories just waiting to be told. Welcome to the 17 County Podcast with your host, Emily Perry.
This is 17 County Podcast. Thank you for tuning in for today's episode. Be sure to like, subscribe, and listen. This helps our podcast grow, and we thank you for your continued support. We would also like to take the time to thank our York County Development Corporation members, AgriProducts, Cornerstone Bank, Nebraska Public Power District, and Central Valley Ag. Without these great members, we wouldn't be able to focus on the growth and development of York County here at the YCDC. So thank you. Let's get to the podcast. All right, so today I have Janeen Sorenson on our podcast. She is actually the newest employee for the YCDC. Sadly, Deb retired, but very excitingly, we have Janeen to replace her. So Janeen has a vast history work experience within the business realm, and we're really excited to bring her on board. So thanks for coming.
Yeah, thank you for asking me. I appreciate that very much.
Yeah, so I guess just to start off, where are you from? Tell me a little bit about yourself.
I grew up in Shelby, so Polk County, so I'm not very far from home. We, like I said, raised there. My folks still live there, and we actually went to school at David City Aquinas. So we were driving over to Butler County every day. So I've had some experience driving around all of these areas for sure. So so not far from home at all.
Yeah, absolutely. So tell me a little bit. I know you grew up in that area. Then what?
So when I graduated high school, I wanted to get as far away from home as I possibly could without leaving the state. So I ended up out at Chadron State College and absolutely loved it out there. I was going to go into interior design. Then I decided that was going to require me to be in a metropolis area, more than likely, to be successful, and that did not interest me at all. So I really prefer the rural areas and smaller towns. And so I just spent 1 year there and then came back home to Shelby. And I began working, and I ended up working here in York. So that puts me here at about 1995. And the reason I ended up here was my sister was dating her boyfriend at the time, and that actually started in 1992. So I had already been coming to York, hanging out with them, spending time here, and already really enjoying what I was seeing in York. Yeah,
Absolutely. And what was this first job?
The first job was with Pioneer, when it was just Pioneer.
Yeah,
out there north of town.
Right, and which is currently Corteva? Or is that one Bear? Oh my goodness, I should know.
No, Corteva.
It's Corteva.
It is Corteva.
Oh my goodness, I'm so sorry. I should know that, but it's fine. It's fine. There's so many businesses.
Yeah, they've combined.
So what did you do for Pioneer?
So I started off, it was when they would hire on, it was for the sorting of the corn in the fall. And so I started off doing that. And then that was a year they needed to rebag a bunch of corn because I think it was a late planting season. So I stayed on for the rebag, did that through the winter. And then they asked to keep me on through the spring. I was mowing. And then through the summer, I was out doing field counts behind the detasselers, and I did do another season of sorting corn again. I was up running the doghouse at that time. And then after that, I decided I needed to look into doing something else. And so I was there. But yeah, it was neat to see the full cycle of what happens out at Pioneer.
That is hard work too. That is hard labor.
It is. And granted, I come from a farming family. My dad has farmed. But it was neat to see that side of it for sure.
Yeah, sure. So we choose to move on. What was next? Oh boy.
I began working at Autocraft for Denton and Linda Bowler, and my brother-in-law was working for them at the time. So they had an opening there in the office, and so I was their office manager and doing their accounts payable and accounts receivable, and really enjoyed getting to know the auto body field in that way. And it was a great experience. They were great people to work for.
Yeah, what a change.
Yes.
Farming, auto body.
Yes.
Yeah, interesting.
All good things.
Yeah, right. Yeah. All good skills to carry on. And
Definitely.
That's where your love for business
and bookkeeping definitely
started.
Yes.
Okay, so we love this job, but eventually leave. Where do we go?
Right. Well, then I go to Century House Chiropractic after that. So that's when my new love for natural medicine came in and learning about the human body. And I worked for Julie Shelkoff there and did that for about 2.5 years. And that was a really great experience too, because I met all kinds of people. We would see, I think it was probably up to 30 people a day at that time. And so I got to know a lot of people in York and York County. And it was really a good way to kind of get a foundation for knowing people since I was still relatively new at that time. So, yeah. And then after that, I was recruited over to Tabitha Healthcare Services when they were still downtown. Oh. It's now the parking lot for the East Cornerstone Drive-Through Bank. So, but that's where Tabitha used to be. And I was clerical staff there. So still in the medical field, but doing different things. Met amazing nurses that work there that provide home health care and hospice to individuals. Wonderful thing. And then I had my girls after that. I have triplet daughters.
And life changes real fast.
Life changes very quickly. So then I was a stay-at-home mom.
Yeah, awesome. Yeah. And your triplet daughters are now recent graduates.
They are. They have graduated. So that 18 and a half years has completely flown by, as I'm sure many people can relate to. So, yeah. So now new life phases have happened for sure because of that.
Right. So, okay. That was a bunny trail. I apologize.
No, it's good.
So you choose to stay home with your children.
Yes.
Which lasted...
They were beginning preschool, and I went back to work part-time. And so Steph Howe, I knew Steph, and she was working at Napa. She was doing the bookkeeping there for Rex, and she reached out to me because she was going to go back into teaching and said, "Hey, do you want to do this job?" And I said, sure, let's check this out. And then it was great. Again, that's another reason I love bookkeeping is it was a great opportunity, a great experience working there. And it was a part-time job, so I was able to spend time with my children when I needed to. But when they were at school and preschool, that's when I was working. And so it was really a great fit to have that flexibility. And then at some point I had taken on the books also at Tim Dibburn Machining. And so I did the books for him as well.
Interesting.
During that time. Yeah. So I was working for part-time for 2 different places at the same time.
Okay.
Yeah.
Interesting. So we do this. I'm sorry. I'm like taking you through,
it's okay.
through the years.
Yeah. We're.
So we do this. I'm assuming eventually move on.
Yeah. So that's when the whole Obamacare thing came along, and I had heard about this tax or a penalty that might happen. And I tend to like to do things as they should be done. So then since I was part-time, I didn't have the full benefits. And so I needed to seek something out for that. So full-time, I went to go work for Fastenal. My brother-in-law was the store manager at the time, but that's not the reason I got the job. I had to pass a test in order to be employed there. And so that, again, was another wonderful opportunity to be able to meet many people, not just from York, but also the surrounding counties, because I eventually became an outdoor salesperson. That's not the right word, but I would go out and do the sales calls, but I was going in all the surrounding counties around York County. And so again, got to know a lot of individuals and their businesses. And then I got to the point where I was looking for something that wasn't sales, because that, as I learned, wasn't my niche.
Right.
I'm not that kind of a person. I mean, not that salespeople have a certain, I feel like it just didn't fit me the best. I wasn't super comfortable doing that.
Yeah.
So even though I was successful, I wanted to do other things.
Yep.
And so that's when I began working at the hospital, York General. And so this brings me to about 2014. So I was at the hospital for about 10 years and took on several different roles while I was there. I did during that time, had left for about a year and then missed the culture that York General has. And so I went back. So it was a really great place to work for sure.
Yeah. And you've talked about your love for healthcare and, that natural, holistic approach. Talk a little bit about that. So it started at the Century House.
Yes.
But when you say the naturalist or whatever, that side of things, what do you mean?
So approaching healthcare in the sense that you, instead of going through the medication route, getting adjusted, starting at the source of where your issues are, whether it's pain or it could be illness. That was something that spoke volumes to me. And then also to learn if you needed a supplement, so vitamins or that sort of thing, to look into that as an option to help take care of your health. So I like to take care of your health in a preventative measure as opposed to a reactive measure.
Right.
So it's literally every day doing things that would benefit your health instead of being like, oh, whoa, I'm having issues. Now what do I do? So I had a plan. So when I was working for Century House, I was in my early 20s and I knew then that I wanted to age well. My grandmother at that time was doing that. She had set a really good example of how to live naturally, and she lived to be into her 90s, and she did age well, and she set a wonderful example, like I said. And so I really aspired to be like her. And so that was where a lot of that came from, was just watching her, and she was going to the chiropractor, she was taking supplements, and so I wanted to mirror that. And so that's where, and I still feel that same way. It's just that natural approach to taking care of yourself.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
Interesting.
Yeah. Through taking care of your body, good nutrition, good, moving your body, keeping hydrated. I still believe that the sun is a good source of vitamin D.
Yeah. yeah.
So, but yeah, I do enjoy all of the natural aspects of that.
Interesting. Yeah. I mean, it all makes sense, but unfortunately, I don't think about it. Maybe I should.
That's okay. It actually became a hobby for me as time went on. I would read articles and I'd look up things and that's how I like to spend my time. And so I listen to podcasts now that might have that focus and very good.
Interesting. So we're talking about this side of your hobbies. I've also heard that you're quite the singer. So where did that start? Like, how did that become a thing? What do you do now?
Yeah. So I started singing I can remember in elementary school trying out for a part in our Christmas program. I don't know that I got that part, but I remember trying out for it. And so I definitely continued singing all through high school. So I was in choir and I was in show choir. I did several of the plays, and of course, a couple of them were musicals. And so definitely enjoyed all of that. Later, when we got to York and I was attending church here and got involved with York Evangelical Free Church, and I began singing on their worship team and did that for many years. Absolutely loved it. Learned some great skills. Had wonderful connections with people that were on the same worship team together. So that was definitely a lot of fun, but thoroughly loved singing. It was a great way to express worship. And so I did take a break when I had the girls because that was a lot. And I eventually got back into singing on a worship team at a different church then later. And I haven't done that for a while, but it's always in the back of my mind. But it's just one of those things that life had gotten so busy and I needed to focus on other things. And, you can only do so many things in your day.
Yeah.
And so, but I still do love to bust out a song every once in a while. And I definitely sing to the radio, or if I'm listening to Spotify, like I'm definitely singing along.
Okay, I'll have to spy on you a little bit more because I've never heard you sing yet.
Yeah.
So,
Deb, when she was training me, I was definitely singing sometimes. And
I'm sure she loved it.
Yeah.
Some background music. It's good.
Right.
It's good. So another thing, you have all these hobbies. Man, look at you go. But another thing that I know you do is fish. And you're very good at it.
Yes.
It sounds like.
Yeah. Well, I mean, it's one of those later in life skills that I've acquired. I mean, we fished when we were kids, go fishing out at the farm pond, and so that definitely happened. But my husband of a year and a half,
Congratulations.
Thank you. He is a fisherman and is a very good one. And so I've been taught well. And so we do as much fishing as we possibly can. And so we did enter a tournament up at Calamus at the beginning of June. It was a carp tournament, and we did win.
Ooh.
And it was a lot of fun.
Yeah. No need to brag.
Right.
No, that's awesome. And Calamus is a beautiful area.
For sure.
So.
Yes, we're up there a lot.
Yeah. Okay, so let's go back to the Well, I guess that is present, but you know what I mean. You are now a YCDC employee.
Yes.
What made you look at even applying in the first place?
So this actually goes back a couple of years in the sense that I was already at that time was looking ahead, knowing my daughters are going to be graduating and that life was going to look very different because they are my only children. And so I really wanted to look at what did I want to do when I grow up? Because, I'm a lifelong learner and I can't say that I've settled on any one thing, but I did, in looking back at my past, I knew that I really enjoyed bookkeeping. I love numbers. I've been that way for a very long time. I was a great student, so that helps a lot.
Yeah.
And I have an eye for detail. And so looking at all of those things about myself, I really wanted to analyze what should I consider doing. Because I knew also that I wanted to look at going into a different industry because I had been already at the hospital for 10 years and just was looking to be doing something different.
Right.
So I did think about massage therapy for a little while, but as we get older, our hands get more and more tired, and that wasn't really a career to start, at that point in my life. So I decided against that, but then realized, okay, I really do love numbers. I love bookkeeping. And so I wanted to make sure that my skills were up to date. And so I had some friends and had looked into online bookkeeping courses. And so I do know of some friends of ours that had gone through this particular course that I did take. And it was a very good course. It got me updated on QuickBooks Online. And so I got certified in January of this year, 2024, as an associate digital bookkeeper. And so I get to now have those initials behind my name.
Yeah, there you go.
Anyway, and so I got that. And then generally with this, it's the idea is to be able to have your own clients and that sort of thing. But I wasn't quite ready to do that. And I don't know if I ever will, but I knew I wanted to be able to put my skills into use. So I started, probably in March, started looking actively for a bookkeeping type position because I'm not an accountant, but I can do bookkeeping. And so in April, had reached out to Steph Howe after I was listening to some old podcasts, some of the 17 county podcasts.
Doing what it's supposed to do.
Right,
Awesome.
right. So I was, you look back and, I know this person, I want to listen to their podcast. And so Steph was actually one of the first people I met when I first came to York County, to York, because her husband, Tony, was my now brother-in-law's best friend.
Okay.
So my sister that was coming here dating her boyfriend, they ended up getting married. This is like 1992.
Yeah.
And so Steph was dating Tony at that time. And so she was one of the first people I had met in York. And so I'd heard her podcast and I had reached out to her and mentioned something about bookkeeping. And that's when she led me to this position that was open.
Yeah.
And as far as I know, it was only listed on this website for YCDC, which was not a place I had known to look for a job, but now I do.
Right.
So now I know to tell other people to do the same thing.
Yes.
Yeah. So I looked at the job. She sent me the information. I emailed Lisa Hurley, the director. That evening, she replied right away, and we scheduled an interview for the next day and had a great interview. And she did tell me, I think you're my last interview. And then, so that was a Thursday. And so the following Monday, she reached out and offered me the job. And so when things happen that quickly, that was a wide open door.
It's meant to be.
For sure.
Yeah.
And it was all very good. So, and it was also wonderful to have the opportunity to get to train with Deb before she has fully retired.
Yeah.
And so I had a couple weeks with her, which was wonderful. I still have Deb available as needed to come in and assist with things that happen just very infrequently throughout the year. So I'm very grateful for that. So it'll be neat to be able to work in this role, to use my bookkeeping skills, but also to gain other skills with learning about economic development. Because as we did find out that's not in my past history of my working. And so I am very much looking forward to learning about that. The things that I've already learned so far are beyond, I just had no idea how much is involved.
Yeah.
So it's really neat to see the passion of the people that are really wanting to see York County grow, and they have amazing intentions. And so it's it's going to be an exciting future for sure.
Yeah, there's a joke among economic developers that economic development isn't a career that anyone chooses. It's something that people fall into because nobody knows what it is. It's so big. I mean,
it's very true.
Much.
I had the opportunity to go to a conference for NEDA, Nebraska Economic Development Corporation.
Developers Association.
Thank you. That's what it is.
Close.
Okay, I'm still learning.
Yeah.
So I was able to go to that in Norfolk and did meet so many people, and that is exactly what they told me, that they had no intention of ever going into anything with economic development. They kind of fell into it, and they said they feel like they learn every day, which I can only even imagine. Like, how do you actually train for something like that? So just because so many things change in a community, in a county, in just a moment's time. So I could see why it's the big unknown.
Yeah, absolutely. There's also the common phrase that you're in economic development when your kids can't explain what you do, but you've been doing it for 10 years. So, yeah, it's a beast. There's just a lot to it. And I was the same way. I didn't know what it was and still am learning every day.
That's what keeps our brains young, right?
Yes. Exactly.
Yes, for sure.
Exactly.
At Cornerstone Bank, we are committed to providing you the best in banking products and service. With 46 locations throughout Nebraska, we are dedicated to serve you. Cornerstone Bank, member FDIC, equal housing lender.
So, I guess what part of economic development as a whole excites you the most?
Seeing the new projects that are coming in, and I know there's some that I am not allowed to know about yet, and that's okay because they're still in very early stages. But some of the things that I'm aware of that are coming down the pike, it's really neat to see what York can be. There is so much potential here. We are in such an ideal location. We have a beautiful location, and I see some of these other communities that are growing. Their economic development teams are active and busy, and you can see that. I strongly want that for York as well, and for York County.
Yeah.
We have a lot to offer. We have amazing people here. So why shouldn't we be a part of that as well?
Yeah, absolutely. Man, good answer.
Thank you.
Wow.
Thanks.
So I guess we can kind of hop into hot potato if you're okay with that.
Okay, let's do it.
Let's put you on the spot. I'm actually putting myself on the spot too because I don't have these written down.
Okay,
so
all right.
Let's just work through it together. We'll start off easy. Coke or Pepsi?
Neither.
No. Okay.
Dr. Pepper.
People that like Dr. Pepper are Dr. Pepper people.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah, but it's not something that was always the case. I used to be Pepsi. Now it's Dr. Pepper, but occasionally I'll have a Coke. So I guess I'm not completely, I'm not totally biased.
Okay.
But if I had to choose one, I'd choose the third one.
It's good to know.
Yeah.
It's good to know. Sweet or sour?
Sour. I do.
Really?
Well, I mean, only because I try to avoid the sweet, because once I start on the sweet, I can't stop on the sweet. So I'm going to choose the sour. Or salty. See, I'm going for the third option again. One that isn't
throwing
offered.
me for a loop. Jeez.
Salty is always good.
Salty is always good. Salty or savory?
Oh.
Yeah, there you go.
Now that's tricky. Okay, let's go to the next question.
Skip. Fruit or vegetables? Well, you don't really do a lot of fruit or vegetables.
Meat is my answer.
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay, let's pause because I didn't dig into this at all. Let's talk about that a little bit if you're comfortable because I think it is so interesting.
Yes. So and again, this goes back to my interest of nutrition and naturally taking care of your body. And so I've spent a lot of time learning about different diets, if you will, and I'm using air quotes here because I truly believe that it should be a lifestyle, how you take care of yourself. So it's not just something for a short term, it's truly for the long haul. And so, I've done lots of things. I definitely did the low fat, and you did your fruits and vegetables, and following the recommended, I just forgot what it's called, the triangle, the pyramid, the food pyramid, have definitely tried to follow that. That's been probably 20 years ago. And then as I learned about different things, keto or even the paleo diet, I'm trying to think further back, maybe what I had learned about learning these aspects and the benefits of them. And then it's come into the carnivore, which I'm amazed at the people that aren't familiar with that, but I guess I've followed this stuff for so many years that it was kind of a natural progression. But it's just the idea that leaving out carbohydrates are not a required macronutrient in your body. You can get all of your other vitamins from all of your meats, the array of meats and eggs and animal fats and that sort of thing. So I am not here to give health advice to anybody who is listening to this. So this is what I choose to do for myself. And I test these things on myself and I pay attention to how my body feels. So I am not giving medical advice. Let me just give that disclaimer. And so if anybody has issue with what I'm saying, it's okay. You don't have to listen to me. So it's totally fine. But I have listened to many experts who have lived the carnivore lifestyle, which is basically a moderate amount of protein and then higher fat. And so basically, but you leave out as much carbohydrates as possible. And the idea behind that too is also to keep your blood sugar as normal as possible, so you don't have the spikes and the crashes. It's just, I feel amazing on it. I've had better energy than I've ever had in my life, more mental clarity. It's taken care of food issues that I've had in the past. I have no regrets living this lifestyle. Now, do I still occasionally enjoy some carbohydrates in some form or occasionally have an alcoholic drink? Yes, I do. But it's in moderation and or as little as possible, maybe one time a week, if that. But otherwise, my daily life is focused on having my animal meats and eggs, and I do get farm fresh eggs and all the animal fats. So I avoid all of the seed oils. I avoid processed foods because that'll do nothing good in your body. It causes a lot of inflammation, which of course causes joint pain. It causes other metabolic issues. It could be a precursor to type 2 diabetes, all of that stuff. So again, not medical advice. This is just something that I play with on my own and experiment with and learn about. And I would never pressure anybody to do this. But if somebody ever had questions and they wanted to talk to me about it, you bet. We'll have the conversation.
Yeah, I find that so interesting. And I know that at one point, me and you were talking and we both agreed it's just whatever works for you.
Definitely.
Like you find what works for your lifestyle, what makes you feel good, and there you go. You did it, you know?
Yeah. I know it's something my girls have sometimes teased me about, and they're like, oh, keto's bad now? Oh, now it's just carnivore? Well, I've never said anything is bad, but it's more of an experimentation for myself. So I just have learned what has worked for me, and I know how I used to feel and had a lot of brain fog and food addiction issues, and I know for a fact that those things are gone, and I know that I have less joint pain than I've ever had before. I've had people tell me recently how young I look, which I really appreciate.
You do look great.
Thank you. Great. And so I truly attribute all of that to taking in good, whole food nutrition that our body knows what to do with.
Man, so interesting to me. So interesting. We could go on all day, but back to Coke or Pepsi type questions.
Oh, yeah. We were talking. Yeah.
It's bunny trails, I'm telling you.
I love it.
My day has been
great.
full of them.
It's the story of my life. It's all a bunny trail.
Right. Okay. Morning or evening?
Morning for sure. I definitely, that's when I'm the most productive.
Okay.
Yes.
Also good to know. So bombard you with everything in the morning.
Yeah, for sure. And I get up early with my husband because he used to work very early, so we're both up at 5. And that's the time that I should be doing my workout. I'll be honest, there are some days that I just start cleaning my house because I see something that needs to be done, and it goes from another bunny trail. It's like you walk into this room, oh, this needs to be done. Oh, wait, I was doing this. Oh, that needs to be done. So, but yeah, I do like my mornings for sure.
Okay. Summer or winter?
Summer. I am a summertime gal because remember, I like to fish. I like to play in the water as much as I can. I do love tending to my flower beds at home, outside. I do like to mow. I like all things about summer. And for me, growing up, summer was like summer vacation and going on vacations and going to the lake. And so I definitely love summer. I do like winter because it's a nice change of pace, but I'm okay if it doesn't last very long. So summer all the way.
Okay, let's flip this. Fall or spring?
Oh boy, I love them both probably equally.
Okay.
Yeah, because especially this spring when we had so much rain and everything was so green and just beautiful, things were growing nicely. And then fall again, I mean, how can somebody not love fall?
Yeah.
The leaves
Football
are changing.
season.
Yeah, there's that.
I don't know if you're a footballer, but
For as long as I've lived in Nebraska, which is my entire life, I mean, I've always known about what's happening with Nebraska football, but I'm not really following what's going on with Nebraska football. I know if they're having a winning or losing season, but I don't get too worked up about it if it's going the wrong way.
yeah. I like to believe myself as like a fake football fan. I like the tailgating. I like getting together with friends and like eating the food and hanging out. But I could care less what's going on the TV.
I'm usually talking to everybody else if I can help it.
That's
you know?
Exactly. And they're like, shh, watching football. And you're like, well, I want to talk.
Or to be honest, when the game is happening, I'm looking at the crowd to see what's interesting or weird happening in the crowd. I mean,
There's
that's just me.
something.
And if I'm at a Husker game, which I have been, I'm watching the crowd because those people are football players are way down there. And there's so many things interesting happening right around me. So maybe I get a little distracted. I don't know, but I'm definitely a people watcher for sure.
Do you have a sport that you like, or are you just not a sport person?
I never played sports when I was in high school. I didn't even do junior high sports. It was for me, it was music and drama and academics. And I like to be active now. I think it's because as I got older, I was able to better learn how to control my body because I grew up really tall really quickly and was gangly and awkward and, and so, but I started lifting weights in high school. So I guess if there's a sport that I love is lifting weights. Now, is that a sport? But yeah.
Oh, I think it can be.
But that's definitely something that has been a hobby and a source of exercise for me has been lifting weights. But I've been doing that since high school.
Sure. Okay. Interesting. I'm learning so much about you.
For sure.
Yeah. I'm trying to think of more questions, but I don't know if I have any more. So we'll just wrap it up if you're okay with that.
Sounds great.
Last thing, do you have any pieces of advice for anyone who may be looking at York to start their career, start their family, or just move back to?
Yeah, York is truly a great place to live. It's just small enough that you know enough people and rush hour traffic in York maybe lasts 5 minutes. And thank goodness for that.
Yeah.
If it happens at all. 8 o'clock in the morning, 5 o'clock in the afternoon. That's it. Thank goodness. So, but at the same time, it's large enough we have a lot of amenities that are available to us without having to leave town. And I'm grateful for that because I can tend to be a homebody, and if I need something, I know it's just a few minutes away from me to go get something, whatever it is. So that's a wonderful thing about York. We have a great school system here. I sent my daughters through. We went to parochial school, when they were in elementary, and then high school. So the school system is great. Yeah. We just have great people here. I think it helps that there's a rural mindset, even though we're trying to expand, but still with all of the agriculture around us, I think that helps keep it in that rural mindset. Yeah. So, but yeah, it's a great community. I know that when I first came to York in 1992, I thought it was so beautiful. All the tree-lined streets and people really take care of their homes here and their yards, and it's a great community. It really is. I have no intention of leaving, and like I said, when I came here, I've been here for I moved here in 1998, so I'm a natural transplant for sure.
Yeah. You've chosen it, which is cool.
Yeah, exactly. So I'm one of the many transplants who have come to York and consider York my home.
Absolutely. Well, I guess that concludes us. If anybody is listening to this and wants to meet Janeen, you can stop in the office at any time. We're at 601 North Lincoln Avenue here in York, and we would love to see you. I know Janeen would probably love to see you too. Yes. I'm speaking for her right now.
I have lots of people to meet, and that's great.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, thank you so much.
Thank you for having me.
I'm sure this is not the last time that you'll be on the podcast.
And that's totally fun. I look forward to the future.
Awesome.
In closing, we would like to once again take the time to thank our members, the people that help us drive change. We would like to thank York State Bank, Henderson State Bank, York General, Meade Lumber Company Incorporated, and York News Times. And thank you, our listeners, for tuning in. Catch you next time.